Good evening. It is Wednesday, May 31st, 2023, and coming to you from Studio 1A at the Lonely Tree Media headquarters in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. It's good to hear the music again.
It is good to hear it.
It is good to hear music. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
And to have the studio audience again.
They've had some time to rest those hands.
I know, right? That's why it's a good applause. That's why you're getting the extra applause because their hands don't hurt from clapping every week. I don't know. We are live. We're not live. We're recorded, but we're on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Under the best, you can look us up under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can tweet us at Lamm Sports on Twitter. You can email us lammsports@gmail.com. We're on Facebook under, of course, the Best Lamm Sports Show. And then you can check out our webpage, which is lammsports.com. You can find links to the past shows, and trivia questions are on the website. It has been 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. We've been off for a little while. Had some major life changes going on, and so so we're adapting, we're overcoming, and so now brought to you from, instead of Portland and Yakima, it's now Denver and Yakima. How's Denver?
Different.
Further east.
Flatter.
Yeah.
More moths.
More miles.
A lot more moths. That's what I should have done for my minute at the end of the show is talk about the damn moths. No, it's nice though. The weather's good here. It does this like Florida thing, these like afternoon showers thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like 1 o'clock, 1:30, look at the radar, here comes the storm. Storm rolls through for about 2 hours and then goes away. And that's it. Every single day right now.
Denver's in an interesting spot. It's, the Rockies and the Plains. It's where they meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get a lot of weird weather come through there.
Yeah, like today I was watching the radar at work because we were watching for like lightning strikes, and it was like going straight north. Because sometimes it comes up to the Rockies, and then there's like these little air currents. They'll just push it straight north. But then as it gets up towards like Boulder area, so a little north of Denver, it starts to curl back down towards Denver, back down towards the city, and it's kind of strange.
Because stuff does. It comes out of the north and south.
Yeah. I have literally seen the clouds here move in every single direction since I've been here. I've seen them come from the east, seen them come from the north, everywhere.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild, but it's a neat place though.
It doesn't sound any different. You still sound like you're in Portland.
Do I? I was worried about my room sounding too echoey. Actually, this is shades of high school. I tacked a blanket to the wall to absorb a little sound in the room. Yeah, it's still got a lot of echo to it, but I think that's because the door behind is like directly behind me. So there's a wall in front of me, and it bounces off the wall and goes back to the door, and it bounces off the door and comes back. So, but it's all right. I think it sounds okay.
No, it sounds great. I can't even tell. I mean, yeah. It doesn't sound any different. But I mean, I guess it's a phone call technically, so it really doesn't ever sound.
I will run out of breath faster though.
We'll have to take more breaks because altitude.
I notice it at like random times. Like I'll be like things that I would have always done. Like I'd be walking like the trash cans outside.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I'll be walking back to the house. I'm like, why am I breathing heavy? Like, this is weird.
the Best Lamm Sports Show coming to you from a combined altitude of 6,700 feet.
That's true. 6,700 feet.
I mean, I don't know. So let's pay the bills first. So because that's what we do. The first part of the show is always brought to you by The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds and Cerakote services. It's all under one roof at The Range, open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go to The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. Phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamm Sports Show. That's The Range. Educate, equip, and empower. That almost didn't want to come out.
By the way, my house is located at 5410 feet, so I am over a mile above sea level.
So we're almost 7,000 feet combined.
We're almost at 7,000 between the two of us because Yakima is 1,066.
Yeah, but I'm on
as a whole.
But I'm on the east side and I'm going up. So
So
we're a little
probably
bit higher. Yeah,
1,300,
yeah, yeah. So we're
1,500.
close. We're getting
Yeah,
close.
so we're up there. We're
Yeah,
right at 7,000 feet total combined,
right.
mostly from over here.
Yeah, almost all from over there.
Largely from what
Yeah,
I'm contributing.
yeah. So in case you guys notice a change in the broadcast, it's because of the altitude.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to blame it on.
I like that.
We have a new excuse why things don't work. All right, so a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things happened between then and now. We're in the NBA Finals. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Denver and Miami, and Miami winning a ho hum boring Game 7. I guess we could say that over Boston. The Florida Panthers and the Las Vegas Knights in the NHL Finals. We had Formula One and was in Monaco. NFL news and notes things. OTAs are starting. All kinds of things have happened in the NFL, including the draft, which we didn't even talk about. There's been a lot of things. We got that, probably more. We got a trivia question at the end, or at the beginning. When do you want to ask the trivia question?
I'm going to ask it at the beginning, so you have a little bit of time to think about it during.
Oh, okay. This is different for us. So Parker's going to do the trivia question. I am not a good guesser, but we're going to try and see what happens.
I think you can do this. Do you want me to do it right now?
Yeah, let's do that. So the Save and Stone trivia question. Parker, take it away.
Okay, so I consider the sports weekend to be Thursday through Sunday.
Okay.
All right. There are things that are Thursday through Monday. There are things that happen on Tuesday and Wednesday, but for the most part, football occurs Thursday through Monday. NBA during the regular season is mostly Thursday through Monday. There are very few things happen outside of that. Soccer is almost always on Saturday, MLS soccer. So I consider it like that.
Okay.
So the question is, for the four major sports, so we're talking NBA, NHL, NFL, and MLB.
Okay.
What city has had all four sports playing on the same sports weekend? And bonus, if you can figure out when that weekend is.
Oh.
I could only find one city that's had it happen. There might be another one, but I did a lot of research while I was supposed to be working today, and I came up with one city.
Well, on the same weekend.
On the same weekend, so Thursday through
Monday, but not necessarily Sunday. Like Memorial Day weekend, just a weekend during the year.
Just a weekend.
Oh, had all of the sports playing.
All sports are playing
in that town, like at home. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All at home.
Okay.
I found a couple of places where they were all playing like on the road and stuff like that, but all at home.
So let me ask you a couple questions so clarify right, because I got questions. Well, just really one. Does New York count as one city considering the Giants and Jets play in New Jersey?
New York, I think, would count.
Okay.
As one, at least in the way, because you have the but see in that case, I would see for New York, I would be wanting to say that I need the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants,
for all of them
and
to be
the
playing.
Jets all playing at home,
and that can't happen.
That
can't happen.
Yeah, I guess it could happen more likely that one of them is doing it, but or either the Jets or the Giants are playing, and probably the Yankees or the Mets are playing at home.
Right, because that leads us to Los Angeles, which is the same kind of deal.
Right,
you
but
got
Los
the
Angeles
Clippers,
has a lot of flux in and out of their teams and things like that.
Clippers and Lakers, and we don't know which NFL team is currently in LA at that point.
That's right.
Good night. This is a good question.
If you need a hint, I can give you the year.
Okay, do that.
2007.
Oh crap, that doesn't help me. I was hoping it'd be in the 80s, and then I'd nail it. But 2007. Okay. Well, let me think. Let me think about it.
Okay.
2007. We'll get the answer at the end of the show. 2007. All four major sports playing at home.
And I couldn't find one that had all five, including MLS. Couldn't find it. Like I was still working on them. Like I don't think that exists.
Okay. 2007. That's.
It's a good one.
And I'm trying to think of when all four sports play because it has to be in the fall.
Man, this is what I went through earlier today.
It has to be in the fall because NFL doesn't play in the spring. So the NFL has to be October or late September. It has to be October because I don't think the NHL even starts or the NBA even starts until October. So I mean, somebody has to be in the World Series. A lot of stuff going on there. All right, 2007. Okay, I think I have a guess.
Okay.
Already, but we'll save it for the end.
We'll save it for the end. Yeah.
Okay, I think I have a guess. I'm gonna guess, but I'm probably wrong. All right. So let's talk about the NBA Finals, since that's what we're already talking about. Yeah, I know we weren't, but let's talk about the NBA Finals. NBA Finals. So Miami Heat beat the Boston Celtics in Game 7. That was the biggest build up to a freaking Game 7, and the biggest letdown of a game.
If you're a Celtics fan.
Well, I mean, just in general, as a watcher of the game, you're like, this is it was over by halftime. The Celtics kept scoring a couple baskets, and then the Heat would score a couple baskets, and then score one more, and then go a little bit more, and then the Boston would score 2 or 3 baskets, and then the Heat would score those same baskets and one more, and they just kept lengthening the lead, and it just never. Boston led early, 9-4 or whatever it was, and then once Miami got rolling, it was over.
It was over.
Yeah, that was.
It got to within 7 in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And that was as close as it got for the rest of the game. Next thing you know, you blink and it was a 20-point game again.
Yeah, and I don't know. It was. I don't even want to explain that. So I know what happens when teams get into this situation. You're playing at home. It's a big buildup for the Celtics, right? They fought all the way back. This is the first chance for a team. This is a chance for a team to do the first thing in history of the NBA has come back from 3-0, right? It's never happened in 90 whatever attempts, 96 or whatever. So they had this opportunity to make history, and they're at home, and the fans are just roaring, and it's this huge thing. And I know how amped up you get at the beginning of the game, but there comes a point in every game like that where there's a letdown, where your adrenaline just stops.
Yeah,
and you saw it. You literally saw it in the middle end of the first quarter with the Celtics. They were hyped up and they were fired up, and then all of a sudden it was deflated, and the Heat started making baskets. They couldn't stop the Heat from making baskets. That was the biggest problem with the Celtics, is they just couldn't play any defense. But I mean, they only scored 103 points, but the Heat only stopped themselves. I don't know. The Heat, congratulations to the Heat. That's an 8 seed, right? Making it to the finals. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often.
I don't think it's happened much at all.
I did not explore that, but I'm just saying it doesn't happen very often. I know that. And how about Caleb Martin for Miami? 26 points, 10 rebounds. He looked amazing in that game. That's like a coming out. And like they said on TNT, if you were watching the game, those guys were talking about how much money he was making in that game.
Yeah.
It was a breakout game, and everything was cha-ching at that point.
By the way, the Knicks were the first team to ever, in 98-99 lockout season, they were an 8 seed and they made the finals. Okay. But this is only the second time in history.
Well, there you go. Second time in history. Perfect. That's what he's not the best stat guy in the business for nothing. Anyway, but
no, I thought it was a fun series to watch. I thought
the series was good. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they went up 3-0, and you're like, oh my gosh, are they about to just sweep the Celtics? That coach is definitely getting fired.
Right.
Like, there's no excuse for that. And then they storm back 3 games. You're like, oh my gosh, are the Heat about to blow a 3-0 lead?
Yeah, and that would have been even bigger. and then you got to wonder, and then you got to wonder if Spoelstra is going to be on a hot seat somehow. But no way. I don't know if he's ever going anywhere.
I think that Pat Riley understands good coaches, kind of like I guess he's gone now. Myers from Golden State.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr is never going anywhere as long as he's there. He just stepped down, so we'll see what happens. But Steve Kerr is never going anywhere. You can have a bad season, you have a couple bad seasons, it's perfectly fine. But the Heat are competitive year in and year out under Spoelstra.
Yeah, I don't even know how they do it. And the Celtics shot 21% from 3-point range, and that's the problem. They never committed to going big and just trying to force the action. I'm not sure they could have. Bam Adebayo played 43 minutes, but he had 12 points, 10 rebounds. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
He also got hit in the face. Not that that's a big deal, but I'm just saying. I feel like Jimmy Butler was playoff Jimmy Butler, and Caleb Martin, this guy's combined for 54 of the 103 points, and that's amazing.
He stepped up big, didn't he?
Yeah, he was huge, and I mean they're going to need that again in Denver. I'm not saying they can do that all the time, but he's playing very, very well um, for Miami. And I think, you've seen the last two games, 26 points, 21 points in the game six loss.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he stepped up. So,
I mean, he was only averaging 8 points a game in the regular season.
yeah.
Or for his career this year, he was averaging 9.6 a game. Like, he's not doing crazy, but even then, he's only averaging 14.1 in the playoffs, but it's a huge 14.1. It's a very necessary 14.1.
Yeah. He's averaging almost 20 points a game for them in the last, 5 games of the series, of the finals. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's going. He's
Yeah.
going
So,
crazy.
I mean, if he continues to play like that, he's number one going to get a gigantic contract, and number two, they have a chance. I'm not. Everybody was counting Miami out in the first round, right?
I don't know. Did we talk before the first round? I think we
We
had a
did.
show before the first round.
We did.
And I said, I don't know why people are doing this. This team is not that much different than the 2020 team who made it
Right.
all the way to the finals. It's a little different, but like you take out Goran Dragic, you put in, Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
Like things like that, like little small substitutions. But it's the same team at heart. It's still Hero, Butler, and Bam, and then a host of other characters, all built on defense. They were an 8th seed because they had a rough regular season.
Yeah.
But they were never really an 8th seed.
And they kind of manhandled the Bucks a little bit,
Yeah.
And I think
it didn't hurt that Giannis got hurt.
well,
I
Giannis.
don't want to make excuses for the Bucks, but Giannis got hurt, and that's huge because that team is Giannis and then a bunch of other dudes. I mean, Chris Middleton's good, but Giannis and a bunch of other dudes.
Right. And they were one game away from not even getting in because they lost to the Hawks in the first of the play-in games, and then they had to beat the Bulls to get in.
Yeah.
So they were one game away from just not even being in. And literally,
which is crazy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is, but they got hot at the end of the season, and that was kind of what was important. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I've said before, with any playoff thing, as long as you're hot going in, it doesn't matter where you were beforehand. If you make the playoffs, you have a chance.
Well, as long as you're hot enough to make the playoffs, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And they won 4 out of the last 5 regular season games, and that included winning at Philadelphia. And so they were, it's a good basketball team. And if you're Denver, I would not take them for granted. It doesn't sound like they are. What's his name? Malone saying all the right things, right? Doesn't matter if they're an 8 seed. Doesn't matter. Which he's right, because at this point it's the 2 best teams that survived the playoffs, and they ran through the Bucks, they ran through the Knicks. I thought that series was closer than I thought it would be. I mean, it was 6 games. The Knicks played. There was a lot of close games in that one.
Yeah,
yeah. And then the Celtics were, I thought, the way they handled the first 3 games, I thought there is no way this is over.
Yeah.
And then they decided not to play offense anymore for 3 games. Took the 3 games off.
3 full games off.
Yeah, right. Hey, I mean, you got to rest up. That's smart move.
I guess.
I guess.
It's just, it was so, this year's finals this year's playoffs were so tough to watch because I wasn't sure who I was getting on any particular night outside of the Nuggets.
Right.
The Nuggets were the only team you felt like did kind of the same things every single night.
They do too.
Yeah, very, very consistent. But the Lakers, one game, they win by 30. The next game they lose by 30. The Celtics, they dominated a series, then got absolutely crushed in a series. What is happening?
Yeah,
so
it's really hard to figure out some of these. I mean, the whole NBA season was kind of weird. I mean,
it really was. Yeah.
I thought I wouldn't have said Denver was the best team in the West. I wouldn't have said that was a thing. And once Phoenix acquired KD, I thought Phoenix had that legitimate shot to be the winner of the West.
But then KD got hurt.
Like he,
sat 20 games.
He's not young anymore. Yeah, I mean that didn't help, and they could have moved up quite a ways if he'd been playing. But I mean, but I did feel like the Celtics were the best team in the East, regardless of whether Milwaukee won the division or not. I thought the Celtics had the best assemblage of talent.
The Celtics do not have a lot of excuse for not being in the finals this year.
No, they really don't.
This is a step back. What they're reminding me of is the Bengals. They took a little time to build their team, and then once they finally got the final pieces that they need, they made a deep run, got all the way to the Super Bowl, and then lost.
Yeah.
Celtics did the same thing. They finally got all their pieces. They made a run all the way to the finals, lost, and then the next year they lost in the Western Conference Finals or the Eastern Conference Finals, and then same thing for the Bengals. They didn't make it to the Super Bowl again the next year, so they're regressing.
Yeah.
They're regressing with payroll about to inflate.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be tough for the Celtics to stay competitive.
And I think, I mean, the Celtics, it took them 6 games to beat the Hawks, 7 games to beat the Sixers. So they'd already been through some tough series, and that series with the Sixers took a bit out of them, I'm sure. And that might be why they came out flat against the Heat, because that was like the big deal, the Celtics Sixers, right? This is a big thing after the Heat already knocked off Milwaukee. One of these two teams is probably going to be in the finals.
Yeah.
And that the hype behind that probably hurt them, and that's probably why they came out flat, lost those 3 games. I'm guessing it shouldn't be 3 games that takes you to recover from that, but you got to give it to the Heat. I mean, they had a plan. They did well. They played good defense.
Did everything right.
You did everything right. Now you're in the finals. Look at that.
Now you're in the finals, and you just gotta play defense.
Again, Eric Spoelstra wins another title.
He's been to 5.
Yeah, right.
Eric Spoelstra's been to 5 NBA titles. 1, 2.
It's amazing.
1, 3.
3.
So he's been to 6. 1, 3.
He's
got the same ratio as LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, he's already cemented his legacy, I guess, in Miami, if you want to call it that. But you're talking about if he wins a 4th title, he becomes one of the best coaches of all time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's right up there with Pat Riley and Phil Jackson, just in terms of titles. Now, you can blame it all. Oh, we had the great players. Well, so did those guys.
Oh, no, sorry. He only won
2.
He only won 2, but he's been to 6. That was 2012, 2013 with LeBron. But he was an assistant coach when they won in 2006 for the Heat.
So he has 3 rings.
He has 3 rings.
Gotcha. Okay. And that one was with Shaq?
Yeah, that was that 2006 Heat team.
Yeah.
That was definitely Shaq and them versus the Mavericks.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so your prediction for the finals, I guess if you had to give out one right now, it's Heat and it's Nuggets. Well, first of all, Game 1 tomorrow night.
Yeah.
5:30 p.m. It's on ABC. Who wins Game 1?
The Nuggets team.
They've had 10 days off.
Yeah, I don't think that matters that much.
You don't think so?
I think there's a little rust to it,
Mm-hmm.
but they've also had 10 days of rest. So any lingering injuries or swelling, it's time to fix that. It's also time to reset your head. It's time to practice and work on things. It's time to develop a new game plan. They've had a week plus to watch game film on the Heat and the Celtics. And when this series is up 3-0, you can bet they started digging into Heat game film.
Sure.
They have a lot of time to prepare ahead of the other team. So it's a home game. They're extremely talented on offense. They can score a lot of points. They're not the best defensive team, but they can score a lot of points. And they've had time to prepare. I don't think that's gonna matter that much. The Heat are running off of pure adrenaline.
The Nuggets are the 3rd largest favorite in the NBA Finals in the last 20 years. They're a minus 360. The other 3 of the 4 largest, they all won the title. That's the Golden State Warriors, San Antonio Spurs, Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers doesn't really count. That's a COVID,
is that the bubble year?
COVID year. Yeah, I don't really put much stock in that, but yeah. And then also Miami's making its 7th NBA Finals appearance since 2006, and that's the most in the NBA in that span.
See,
right? Yeah, I mean, and it's just that to me is amazing. 5 of their playoff rotation has previous finals experience.
So in 16 years, they've been in the finals 7 times.
7 times.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's the Warriors have been in 6. I know.
And yet the Warriors and the Heat have never played in the final.
Yeah, I know. It's just kind of weird, right?
That's even crazier.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the 2 largest ones. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Cool,
yeah. So there's a big stat, and I guess the question comes down to playoff Jimmy. I mean, right? How good is playoff Jimmy?
Playoff Jimmy's already proven he's pretty good.
Yeah, and I don't understand how he's not that good all the time, but apparently he just decides I'll just save it till the playoffs, and then bam. Yeah. But they got to go against the Nuggets and Jamal Murray, 2nd player to average 30 points on 50, 40, 90 shooting, if you know what that means, in multiple playoff series.
Yeah.
With Kevin Durant. 50 from the field, 40 from 3, and 90 from the free throw line. Jokic is the 3rd player in league history to average a triple-double entering the finals. Magic Johnson, Wilt Chamberlain. Both of those teams won the finals, won the championship.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a scary team to go up against. Those two. Yeah. Anyway, just little tidbits. So
Yeah, the NBA is tough. I got sick of watching the playoffs this year, though. The whole I had to listen to them talk about, are the Lakers and Heat gonna make it back to the finals? The COVID year wasn't a fluke, and I'm like, this. I mean, like it's yes.
Yeah.
It took the Lakers a massive trade deadline, overhaul of their team to become relevant again, and then it took them getting 3 times as many free throws over the final 30 games of the season as any other team.
yeah, that's true.
To complete that off. And then
That's
they
true.
got to the playoffs, and yeah, they swept a Golden State team that was, I mean, I think I don't want to say Golden State's past their prime because I don't believe it, but Clay's not Clay anymore. We all know that. Steph did not look perfect. Draymond looks a little slower, but he's still really good. What Draymond's asked to do, he still does it very, very well.
And you know what it is? Those teams, when you say past their prime, you can. I mean, not saying that they're old, but
it sounds insulting. But you can just tell when there's an edge off.
They're not quite the same, and they've been doing this for a long time. And you think, oh gosh, well they're only however many years old. I get it.
Yeah.
But when you play that many games a season to include all of those playoff runs. I mean, when you think about it, if you go 5-6 games, every series, and you play in 4 playoff series every year, you're adding 25, 26 games to your season every season if you play in the finals.
Yeah.
So it takes its toll on you. And yeah, Clay doesn't look like the old Clay. At times, he'll kill you.
There are moments.
Yeah.
I saw there were a couple of moments. There's one moment against the Lakers where they blew them out, and he scored 30 before the half.
Yeah.
And you were like, "What the hell? Where was this?"
Yeah, he will kill you.
But he was just missing open corner threes in important moments, and
he can't do it every game. That's what's happening now.
Yeah, it's not there anymore. And that's not to say that Clay is bad. He's still shooting out of a gym, but
no, he's awful.
Yeah,
good.
it's interesting. So, but yeah, I had to sit there and listen about LeBron for multiple playoff series and how it was so important and how they were getting back and how this team is dominant and blah 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 blah. And then I got to watch them, finally face a decent team, and just struggle.
Right.
Just immediately can't. Like, it's not working.
Yeah.
AD needs to move on. Like, not for him. He needs to stay. If they'll let him stay, he needs to stay. He should not go anywhere. He should hitch his wagon to LeBron and never let it go. Because without another massive superstar next to him, he is worthless.
He can't carry it.
He can't carry a team. And LeBron can't carry a team anymore.
Not anymore. No.
Every once in a while he can do it, but like when you're asking him to be consistent about it, it's tough. And that, oh my gosh, the final game when he had 26 before the half, everyone's like, vintage LeBron performance.
Yep.
And then he had 8 in the second half.
Yeah. I mean, where'd he go? And that's been a knock on LeBron.
Save it for the second, man. Come on.
That's been a knock on LeBron for most of his career, is that he wouldn't take the final shot. He's not that big shot guy. He's not that there at the end of the game.
He's not as clutch, yeah.
And I don't think he is, but I mean, he's got more rings than I do, so I can't really.
He has a lot of game winners.
Yeah, he does.
Game winner from a tie is different than game winner from a deficit.
Sure.
And he has more misses of a game winner from a deficit than like quite a few people. There's a bunch of guys I'd rather take a deficit shot. Steph being one of them. I'd take Clay taking the shot even now.
I'll tell you what,
Damian Lillard, of course.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I'll tell you what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that the Miami Heat at some point in time wear their ransom uniforms, the ransom note uniforms. You know the Miami uniforms, the black ones that have the cutout, look like cutout letters. Looks like a ransom note. I like those. I don't know why.
Did you know that you could order yours and pick your letter styling?
Can I?
Well, not anymore because it's not part of this year's jerseys.
Oh, I see.
These were last year's City jerseys. But yeah, last year when they initially came out, you could order them through the Heat team store, and it was like that for most of the season. But yeah, you could pick your style of letter for each letter. And if you look at, I mean, they won't bring them back, I know. But if you look at them, last year's uniforms, the numbers are different. Like on each player, the color, but the Miami is the same,
but the numbers are different.
It's old. It's
And
old styled. Like it's old and new style numbers
I
and things
like
like
it.
that. It's really.
I
I
think it's
thought they
cool.
were really cool
Yeah,
looking.
that's a good looking. Because
Apparently, I read an article that there was huge controversy about them. The NBA initially was rejecting them over and over and over again because they were really trying to use like a yellow letter and a white letter and a yellow letter and
it's
a pink letter, and they were like, no.
it's the no fun league.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. All right.
no
So
BS league.
so Denver wins this series or no?
Denver wins this series.
How many
I'm
games?
gonna call it 4-2.
Okay.
And that's being generous and saying that Miami sneaks one of them. Otherwise, my brain wants to go 4-1, call it a gentleman's sweep, and win it back home in Denver.
Okay.
Sell those tickets.
Okay.
By the way, I got a season or staff ticket pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So at half off,
I
can get 300 level seats for a good $600.
Is that all?
Right at half off of retail.
Right. That's pretty good. I mean,
talk about a racket. That seat 4 months ago cost $12 against the Pistons. Same freaking seat.
Yeah, this is not the Pistons. Yeah. All right. All right, we're gonna move on because we gotta do stuff. Let's talk about the NHL real quick, and the NHL playoffs. The Stanley Cup starts. Is that tonight? Are they playing? No. When is it? Saturday?
No.
It's Saturday on TNT.
Saturday.
Florida. The Florida Panthers at the Vegas Knights is what you got. And I like if Florida's come out of nowhere. They're the ones that upset Boston, which was amazing.
Yeah, that was wild to watch.
Yeah. And because Boston had 1,000 points at the end of the season, like set an all-time record. Yeah, but they kind of handled Boston. I mean, it was 7 games. I get it.
It was 7 games,
and they were down 3-1.
Yeah.
They were down 3-1. Yeah, they were down 3-1 to Boston, and then won 3 straight, and then won the first 3 against Toronto, and took that in 5 games,
and then swept them,
and then swept Carolina
and
in
then
the Eastern
swept
Conference
Carolina,
Yeah.
including 3 games that went to overtime.
Yeah, so starting with Game 5 of the first round against Boston, right? They won 11 of 12. That's what their current streak is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just amazing. I mean, this is the Florida Panthers. They've been to the finals once. Oh, they lost. Vegas has been to the finals once, and they lost. So kind of even. Florida lost both games against Vegas this year.
Yeah.
Both the regular season matchups. So not that means anything. Playoffs are a different thing. But I don't know. Florida kind of has that Cinderella feel, right?
They really do. And Vegas was really good all year.
Yep.
And continued to be good in the playoffs. Florida was up and down and up and down. I mean, with 10 games left, they were like 5 games above 500. They were like 36 and 31 and 7, and it was like this isn't great. This isn't going great. They were in the 4th spot in their division.
Yeah,
and it's like this is not going to work out for them. But they rattled off 6 of the next 8.
Right.
Took a big jump to get to a decent record, and now they're killing it.
And now they're right there. I mean,
it just feels like they're the team of destiny.
Yeah, and they played in a tough division. I mean, anytime you're in that division with Boston, Toronto, Tampa, I mean that's tough. I mean,
Boston. I mean, oh, dude, and they beat a division. Not only did Boston do that crazy thing, scored the most points, blah 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 blah, then they lost to a division rival.
Right. That's the worst way to go.
Oh, that's gotta suck so bad.
Yeah. It's interesting because the Eastern Conference had the top 4 scoring teams in terms of points for the season: Boston, Toronto, Carolina, and the Devils. The Vegas Knights scored 111. That's the same as what Toronto scored, and they were the 4th highest in the East.
Yeah.
Yeah. So clearly the balance of power was in the East, and so when you're playing in those divisions, it's hard.
That means that most of the East is terrible, and it's easy to farm wins.
No, I would have said that too, but the 2 worst records in hockey were in the West, and that's Anaheim and Chicago.
Is this one of those things where, just for devil's advocate here, is this one of those things where the middle is higher? Like there's more better teams in the middle in the West than there is in the East?
It's about even.
Okay, then never mind.
Yeah, it's about even.
I withdraw my argument.
I'm sitting here looking at it, and I'm like, it was about even.
Kinda
teams that scored 90 points or more, there were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the East. There were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the West. So yeah, it's kind of
Well,
even.
there were 7 teams that scored
Yeah,
100 points
100 points.
in the West
Yeah,
versus only 5 from the East.
correct.
So there was more good teams
Uh,
if you consider a 100-point affair
sure.
to break.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I could go
but
with
yeah, I
that.
see what you're saying. This reminds me of like some conferences that don't super top heavy, like in football.
Right.
And you look down their thing, and you're like, oh man, every team here's got like, there's a couple teams with 10, nobody with 11 or 12, and then there's a bunch of teams with 9, a couple teams with 7, and then here's your 2 0 and 12 teams.
Right.
Versus a conference like the SEC, where here's a team with 12, here's a team with 11. These next 5 all have, or these next 3 have 9, and then the next ones are all at 4
Yeah.
in conference. And
Yeah.
it's like, all right. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah. And the Bruins had a goal differential of plus 128 in 82 games. I mean, the numbers are so ridiculous. They gave up 177 goals during the regular season, right? The next nearest team is 213. And that, that's huge. So, yeah, their defense was good. Their offense was good. They had everything. Lost in the first round
until it mattered.
I mean, it's one of the biggest flops in sports history, I'm thinking.
And so that's the question then is, and Boston fans are particularly vivacious. So, is this a failure of a season?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
I agree.
There's no, had you made, I would go so far as to say if you didn't make it to the finals, even if you'd lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, it was a failure. Yeah, because you were expected to be. I mean, by 3/4 of the way through the regular season, you're like, this is the best team in hockey. There's no doubt.
But if you make it to the finals and lose, we were close. If you make it to the what's it called, the conference finals and lose, you go, man, that really sucks. We were better than that team. If you make it to the second round and lose, you go, what the hell is going on? If you lose in the first round, nothing matters because you'll be remembered as the best team to suck in the playoffs.
The Panthers had the least amount of points of any team in the playoffs.
There you go.
They were the 16 seed. Let's call them
that. And now how's that postseason looking?
Yeah, looking pretty good.
And now they're out there crushing it.
I mean,
of their 12 wins this postseason, 10 of them have 3 or more goals. Like they're absolutely lighting up nets.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's a goal scoring team. Let's be honest. They're the fourth highest goal scoring team in the NHL this year. So there's a team that can score points, but they also gave up a lot of points. 273 goals to 290 that they scored. Their goal differential was plus 17. So they can score, but they're also going to give up quite a few. So of the playoff teams, they by far gave up the most goals.
Yeah.
It's not even, 254, I guess, for Tampa is the next team. So, yeah. Anyway,
Edmonton led the league in goals for at 325. They scored 325 goals.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Jeez Louise.
It's ridiculous. Edmonton can score. Edmonton is
they're built for points.
They're built for offense, and they gave up 260 goals, and it still didn't matter. They only
had a plus 65.
It's only plus 65.
Only.
Yeah, I don't know. Hockey's fun to watch. I love watching hockey, especially playoff hockey because we keep playing overtimes. I don't like it. I don't like the shootout thing during the regular season, and I don't like the fact that you get a point for losing in overtime. I
completely agree.
Negative. That's a participation point. I don't like it. Here's a trophy for being close. No, you win or you lose. If you're not first, you're last, right?
If you're not first, you're last. Yeah, first. Second place is first loser.
First loser. I don't know. But I like watching playoff hockey. It is fun, and we got to have a little tip of the hat to the Kraken who, came out of that.
They made an effort.
Yeah, came out of that. They were close. They
took down my Avalanche.
Yeah.
Pretty handily.
Pretty good. And then they gave Dallas all they could handle.
Yeah, they were in it. I just didn't like it. I wasn't a fan of it. I was that whole series because like the day that we moved here, I want to say was game 3 or game 4 of the playoffs. No, it was game 4 because if they won, Austin and I were going to go, or maybe it was game 5. Austin and I were going to go to the next game. And if they lost, they were done.
Right.
So I got to be in downtown Denver and watch them lose, and I was like, that sucks.
And
To
then
the team from the area I just moved from.
right, and Seattle in that game 7 against Dallas, down 2-0, scores with 19 seconds left,
Yeah.
and then wins a faceoff in the Dallas end with like, I don't know, it was like 11 seconds or 10 seconds left in the game, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh no, they're gonna tie this thing. It's gonna go overtime. You just kind of felt that that was destiny for them, and of course they didn't. But it was a good run for Seattle. Just, we'll see
Yeah.
what happens next year. See, number one, you got to hang on to all those players, um, and, which I don't think is a problem. Seattle doesn't have those kind of players. I was talking about this with some other people, and Seattle doesn't have that marquee player that you're worried about losing, right? The star.
Right.
Edmonton, Draisaitl, and McDavid, and those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those guys that run the team. Seattle doesn't have very many players that you can name if you're not watching the hockey. The casual fan wouldn't even know who those players are, but they all, as a team, much better team than most of those other teams. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
The stars sometimes just win out. So, but anyway, I don't think Seattle's gonna have a problem keeping the team together for next year, and they'll be good. I mean, it's gonna be a good hockey team. Yeah, we guess we'll see. So
Absolutely.
it's fun
Yeah,
to watch.
I'm excited to watch the finals.
I'm hoping that the finals are gonna be good. So Vegas and Florida, who are you gonna go with?
Let's go underdog. Let's go Florida.
Okay.
Just for shigs and giggles. I think they'll be good.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't bet against them. They've been playing. They're hot.
Yeah, right now is not a good time to bet against them. But if there was ever a time when a team's going to kind of crap the bed, it's usually about now.
Well, I mean, they've had so much emotion. You
Yeah.
get to this point, then it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
But they should enjoy it. That's a pretty young team. They should enjoy their time.
They really should. I mean, they're having a good time. It's going to be disappointing now if you lose. But yeah, they shouldn't have been here to begin with. So I guess that's what's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. I think. Yeah. I'm going to go with Vegas.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think
that's a safe bet. They're a better team, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But I think the Magic will just run out.
The opposite. Yeah, that's usually how it happens. In Florida, that's a Disney World joke.
Something's going to turn into a pumpkin. I don't know what it is. So, but yeah, I guess if you want to call it that, I mean, we could do, make that a Disney joke. All right. So second half of the show brought to you by Boss Kitty Yarns, and I don't know. I don't really have a commercial. I just wanted to let everybody know. So it's yarn so boss you'll knit your pants. Go on to the Boss Kitty website, bosskittyshop.com, and you can check out all of the wonderful yarns. I was just down there at Boss Kitty headquarters over the weekend, and got to see the where the magic happens,
where they make the donuts.
And it's amazing. But this is a small operation. It's amazing what they can do. But anyway, I'm going to be back down there at the end of June. So yeah, right. Anyway, go on to the Boss Kitty, bosskittyshop.com, and go find something. You can get a virtual gift card. There's all kinds of, if you know someone who's a knitter, they have the best yarn. And everybody that I've ever spoken to that is a knitter says that exact thing. This is the best yarn. So yeah, go get yourself some. Anyways, There's that. All right. So what else are we going to talk about today?
Well, next up is F1.
We're going to talk about Formula One. We are going to do that because I got to get to Formula One. So, Monaco, over the weekend.
Yeah.
Qualifying, most important thing at Monaco. We've said this a couple of different years now, right? Whoever wins qualifying has a pretty damn good chance of winning this race.
Right.
And it happened again. Max Verstappen wins the qualifying with an amazing third sector of his last lap to pass Fernando Alonso, just barely. And
Fernando in the mini Red Bull.
Yeah, by 1/1000th of a second or whatever it was. He wins the pole and Alonso's second, and then he bolts out, right off the bat, and takes the lead. And the most exciting thing that happened, if anybody watches, if you didn't watch it, spoiler alert, it rained. A lot. And I don't think they were expecting that. Yeah, and it just came down quick. And so not only did you have these guys on the slick tires trying to decide when to change over to intermediate tires, you literally had guys going, no, we need to go wet. I mean,
go full wet.
I haven't seen a full wet since Spa. What, 2 years ago, or was it last year or 2 years ago?
It's been a minute, yeah.
It's been a while. And so yeah, so all of a sudden they go full wet on this thing, and it was good. I mean,
It was fun to watch. It was watching people slip and slide and things
it
like
was
that. A
it
couple
was
cars ran off.
it was exciting. I mean, that was what was really cool was watching these guys. And so that when they've got the slicks on, and they just give it a touch of gas, they literally just touch the gas pedal and they're going sideways. And you're like, yeah, and then you've got to fight around a half a lap to get back to the pit just to change tires. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah,
There was a lot of weird things. He had Carlos Sainz stand out, got his wing hit, front
yeah,
wing. He ran into the back of someone twice in that race.
twice.
Twice.
Yeah,
And didn't get penalized. I think he got penalized once for causing an accident, but not the second
yeah.
time. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And
Yeah,
then
I still don't understand how the what's it called
uh,
operate. I still don't understand how the stewards decide when to and not to penalize people.
right.
Like it's very much whatever they think.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, and then you watch guys, and when the rain started, and they come down the hill from the tunnel on Monaco, and they come into the what's Nouveau chicane, the new chicane that they have there, down at the bottom of the hill, which is nothing more than just a sharp left turn. But it's coming down hard downhill real fast. You got to brake and you got to make a left right. And there were guys when it started raining just going straight through it.
Just going straight to
Just
it.
going
Yeah.
straight through it. And I'm like, is someone going to get a penalty for any of this? No, not really. Because everybody figured it out and gave those places back if they passed somebody. So it was really,
Yeah.
gentlemen, they did the right thing, the gentleman maneuver, but it was still weird to just watch guys just say, I can't stop. I'm going right through it.
I'm going right through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it was interesting. The rain made it interesting. I liked the rain. It made it more exciting to watch because otherwise Max Verstappen was cruising through this thing and there was no one going to catch him.
Yeah. I mean, at the front you've got. I mean, I guess he did lap people, so I guess you do end up in spray eventually, especially with the rain. But
Right.
but his lead was so comfortable it didn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, classic Monaco. What was the thing that surprised you the most?
In Monaco?
Yeah.
Um, I guess what surprised me the most was that there wasn't a pileup at any point in time. I
Ooh,
kept
just
it.
like a little things
Yeah.
here and there.
There were little collisions, and there were people that there were only like two cars that conked out, and I expected at some point in time, especially when it started raining, I expected a pileup of 3 or 4 cars going around a
Right.
corner because someone would. Around a corner, someone would collide with someone, and they would slide around a corner, and no one would be able to see it, and they'd come around because it's a street course. It's narrow. Someone
What's
would
that
come
with,
around hot.
Sergio, right?
Yeah,
Sergio ran into the back. Well, not ran into the back. I shouldn't say that because that makes it sound like it's his fault. But Sergio ended up hitting the back of George Russell, who was backing out
right,
of a runoff area from sliding,
right.
and then was starting to go, and
Eh.
you came around the corner. It's a blind corner. What are you gonna do?
And I expected fully that there was going to be a major collision at some point, a red flag,
It
but
really
that
happened.
never happened. Yeah, it never happened. I expected at least a one red flag with a restart that would tighten the race up, and maybe something would happen. But no, it never.
I'll be honest with you. That Perez running into the back of Russell, they probably could have thrown a red flag for that.
Yeah,
Like
maybe.
it would have been a little light, but they probably could have because it was a decent enough collision where the what's it called Red Bull needed to change their wing and Mercedes had damage on the car for the rest of the way.
Yeah, Perez
So,
had all kinds of issues. He was.
dude, that guy had a rough day.
It was it was exactly
Poor
what we were
guy.
saying when we were watching it. He is not having a good day.
Poor
So,
guy. But
yeah.
I mean that's the crux of not starting in the lead in
Right.
Monaco. Very rarely do people just are okay in all the other spots. Obviously Fernando and Esteban Ocon had good days and things like that. But most of the time, if you're not one of those front couple, it's going to be a rough road.
Right. And
Especially once you throw in rain.
right. And despite not having any points from Monaco, he's still in second place in the overall. Verstappen leads with 144 points. Perez is 105. Fernando Alonso still third at 93. Fernando Alonso's having himself a great year.
He's having a really good year, yeah.
He's finished third 5 times and now finished second. So, I don't know. We're going to see. So,
Yeah, no, it's been an interesting year. I was the thing that surprised me the most, and I did some research to find out if it was like consistent. So Lewis Hamilton set fastest lap
yeah.
at 1 minute and 15 and some change, and I was like, okay, was it really the fastest lap, or was it because it went to rain and no one could top it? And I went and looked. It's on pace with every other race. 3 to 3.5 to 4 seconds is the difference between the qualifying fastest lap and the fastest lap in the race almost every time.
Yeah, and
every time this season. And Lewis was dead on it. So it was 111 in qualifying, 115 in the race.
And it's always gonna be a little slower in the race because of the fuel.
More fuel.
Yeah, more fuel.
So, but that surprised me because they came out talking about their upgrades and things like that and what they've done, and they've got actual side pods now and stuff like that.
Sure.
But you didn't. They also were saying that you don't really know if it's going to matter in this race, being a tight course, super downforce oriented, like tight turning abilities, like it. You're not really worried about like passing speeds, which is what they're trying to catch up to, which is what Red Bull has. Red Bull's cornering speed is okay. Their straight line speed is unreal.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
That's what's carried him through the last 2 years. The year that he won the title 2 years ago, I said 2 years, this year and last year, but 2 years ago, the year before that, there was their cornering speed that was incredible. Now it's their straight line speed's unreal. So that's what they're trying to catch up to. So for him to set a fastest lap, I was pretty surprised by. I thought for sure that's going to be Verstappen with nobody in front of him, or something like that. Like no one else did it.
And I think what the problem you ran into with Verstappen was the fact that he was so far out in front. He was in lap traffic most of the day. I mean, he was dealing with slower cars in front of him, and you can't always get around him. I mean,
but that's not a fair argument because so was anybody who wasn't in.
Yeah, but
first Verstappen had a point where no one was in front of him for a good 20 laps.
Correct, but he was
that
also
never happened for anyone else.
But he was also full of fuel.
He was also full of fuel.
Because it was at the beginning of the race.
I don't know when Lewis
what lap it was. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because it was early. I want to say it was lap like 25 or 30 because it was before the rain came.
Oh, maybe.
It was pretty early in the race. I remember seeing it going, man, he's still holding this fastest lap, and then the rain came, and I'm like, he probably won't lose it if they switch tires.
Let me see if it will tell me. Not that it will, but sometimes it does. It's the report. You got to read the damn thing. There's a whole big.
The fastest lap record for the course is 1:14.820. By the way, all time. That was Sergio Perez in 2017.
Right. It doesn't really say. So that's kind of not helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks. Recap. It's not helpful.
It was an interesting race.
Yeah, it was.
And I thought that other than Max Verstappen, which, without any offense to him and his skills, no one cares anymore. He's going to be in first. He's going to end up in first. It doesn't really that part of the race isn't what you're watching.
Right.
You're watching everything else.
Yeah.
You're watching where Fernando goes. You're trying to see is Mercedes picking it up, and you're even rooting for Sergio to get up there. So.
Sergio had 5 pit stops in this, by the way. It's hard to win when
not many of them by choice.
5 pit stops is a lot of pit stops. I mean it was a fun race to watch. It was one of the better Monaco races, the race part to watch just because of the rain. But the result was never in question unless Verstappen was going to slide off the track and break his car. That would have had to have happened. He would have had to slide off into a wall and just crush it. Otherwise, he was going to win. He's really good on the barely wet tracks at maintaining traction. And I don't know how he does it, but he doesn't ever. You can see him wobble like everybody does when he hits the gas, but you never see him lose control of it in the wet, which is kind of. I mean, that's a helpful thing to have when that happens. But anyway, it was good. It was a good race. I mean, Esteban Ocon, right? In third?
Yeah.
I mean, what?
That's shocking.
Right? And he was there all weekend. He was right there. His times were good. His practice times were good. Qualifying, I mean, he's 4th in qualifying. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did great. Anyway.
Why is this so hard? Oh, lap 33.
Is that what it was?
Yep, lap 33. So it was early in the race. It was a halfway point, but it wasn't that far. Like, it wasn't that far in the race, and it was before the rain hit.
Yeah, well, it had to have been before the rain hit because nobody was.
And he improved it. He said it 3 different times.
Yeah,
he just kept beating it.
I think he was in a pocket, is what I'm saying. I think that's what I feel like. He was in a pocket where the people in front of him were so far in front of him that he had fresh air the whole time. He was going to have this open to run, but he couldn't catch them because they were faster than he was. He was only catching them by like a little bit.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember the race and where he was, and obviously for the first 10 laps, no, you're not in the pocket.
Right.
You're within 3 seconds of somebody in front of you. So even if that time doubles by the 20th lap, 6 seconds,
That's a long
That's
time.
still that no, that's a long time. We're not negating that's a long time, but it's not a long time enough time I think to give you like true clear air. And also,
Well,
I need to see what like the lap over lap time is for him and the person in front of him. I guess would be what it was.
he ended up finishing fourth,
Fourth, yeah, him
and,
and Russell fourth and fifth,
and
yeah.
he was only 3 seconds behind Ocon when he finished.
Yeah,
But
but
but that's
that was
rain.
through some pitting
Yeah,
and rain and things like that.
yeah.
So that's honestly, if there hadn't been rain, I think he would have taken Ocon
I don't know
because when he came out of or when they were finally starting to hone in on it with like 6 or 7 laps left, he was like 5 seconds back, and he
Right.
closed that down to a little over 3.
Yeah.
Like, and that was with some damp roads. It was drying out, but that was with some damp roads and on inners and things like that. So it'd be curious to know if it was dry, what would have happened. But I don't think it would have mattered. I mean, either way, you're competing for third.
It's hard. It's hard to
because the
find.
next two guys are so far ahead.
It's hard to find that information about like lap over lap information. And I'm wondering if the F1 website doesn't have it. I didn't look them up, but it's hard to. It's not easy to get to like to show. Okay, this was his lap times. Every lap, and this was his
Yeah.
lap times every lap. You know what I mean? That information. Somebody's got it somewhere, but it's just a matter of going and find it. Nobody wants to post that. It's too much information. Because this was 70
it
laps.
Is a lot of news.
71 laps. Is that what it was? Anyway, something like that. All right. So let's talk about the NFL. Oh, and hold on. Let's back up because I don't know. I really don't. I gotta look it up. The next race is
Oh, I saw it a few minutes ago, but I looked away. It's Spain.
Spain. It is Spain, June the 4th. So that's this coming weekend.
This is the Spanish Grand Prix.
Right. The race will be Sunday. It's at 7:30 a.m. on ESPN if you want to watch it. The race starts at 8:55 a.m. The Grand Prix Sunday, which is that pre-race stuff, starts at 7:30.
Yeah.
So there you go. And the pre-race stuff is kind of fun to watch if you don't mind a bunch of British people talking about
watching
F1.
him walk the pits and
it's
talk
kind
to
of fun.
people
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear the Red Bull guy this time when the guy was walking the pits and he went up to talk to Christian Horner, and the Red Bull guy like shoved him away. He's like no effing way, mate. I'm not getting in trouble. Like actually shoved him aside, and then Christian turned around and goes no. It was so funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, it's okay. Anyway. So Spain, which is another boring race, by the way. The Spanish Grand Prix is another one of those where it doesn't seem like anybody passes anybody.
All right, hold your horses 1 second. Ready for this one?
Yeah.
Oh darn! It was all loading really fast. So I'm here on lap 44, and Hamilton's 2 seconds behind Sainz.
Yeah, but then Sainz. Yeah, that's true. And
This is on lap 44. This is still pre-rain, but this thing, it was like I was like literally fast forwarding through the race and just like looking at the different parts and just trying to get to like lap 33. I was just gonna check the interval time right then and there.
Gotcha.
But it's being a little grumpy right now, so
Yeah.
we'll
It's
get
tough.
there when we get there.
Yeah. All right.
But that's okay.
That's okay. We'll talk about it later. Let's talk about the NFL. All right.
Wait, before we talk about the NFL,
Oh wait, what? Yeah.
I got the fastest lap time. So Lewis Hamilton pitted on lap 32, and then set it on lap 33 on fresh
tires. Yep. And he came out in a spot where it was open, maybe
with 14 seconds behind Russell.
Yeah. So he had some gap.
But sometime between lap 32 and lap 44, he ended up right behind Sainz.
Yeah.
What chaos to look at like abstractly when you go back and just briefly peek at it. You're like, what is happening here?
Sainz. If you don't see the race, the Sainz had some weird shit happen too.
Yeah, he had another one. Yeah.
Yeah. Both him and Perez were having issues.
Yeah.
It was a rough day.
Glad we got that figured out. You made a good call with the pocket thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. You have to get some
Either
open
the front
space
or have some
right.
space. Yeah.
Exactly. And fresh tires, of course, definitely helps. All right, let's talk about the NFL. Some news and notes real quick. OTAs have started. Not that really matters. Does anyone care that they're doing OTAs? Bill Belichick, by the way, has taken the blame for the OTA violation for the Patriots, right?
Right.
It was a result of coaches' scheduling that resulted in players spending more than their allowed time at the team facility. I mean, come on. I mean, this is the kind of stuff where I go, what? They can't be at the team facility for more than this amount of time? Come on.
You can't be in the gym?
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
Isn't that what they're supposed to do? You have one job, and it's to be in shape to play football. But we don't want you being. We don't want you.
know the rules.
We don't want you being there too much because we don't want you to be in shape. We want you to get injured right off the bat.
This is why NFL teams have like 7 compliance guys.
Right. And 20 trainers.
To make sure this doesn't happen.
and 20 trainers, because you got to have those guys are all going to get hurt in week 2 because they didn't practice enough. For the infraction, Belichick was fined $50,000 by the NFL. And they stripped the team of an organized team activity on May 25th and May 30th. That was yesterday. So, team was back on the field today. Yeah, back on the field today. Yeah, and Belichick, of course, cracking jokes. And when he was asked about, losing the 2 OTAs, how it affected the team, he said, we had a good long weekend. Which is classic, smart ass Bill Belichick. Is that a thing? I mean, should this be a thing, or should it be just like, I mean, I understand. I get the rules, but why are the rules the rules? What are we trying to prevent? And I'm assuming this has to do with overworking the players, right?
Yeah.
So that they're fresher longer. But if a guy wants to be there, why is that not okay?
It's such an interesting thing. Like I think about the NCAA rules all the time, and like how they're always like on top of people about like phone calls and stuff like that. And
right.
I don't know. It's such a strange set of rules.
Yeah.
That they have that don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But they're all designed to make things equal and fair. So it just kind of is what it is. Like you can't really do much with it.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd of the Cincinnati Bengals.
I read this.
Believes that he was the missing factor in the Super Bowl. He says, had he been healthy, they would have won this. They would have beat the Chiefs, and they would have gone to the Super Bowl. Any belief in that?
Negative.
Okay, all right. I didn't think so.
I mean, you don't play defense, right?
Right.
And,
no. Yeah.
And the problem is that they couldn't stop him from scoring points.
He wasn't playing both ways. No.
Yeah, and only one guy can hold the football at any given time.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know. It's just I don't think that's just talk from a guy who's a little salty. One, he doesn't have a title to his name,
and two, he's grumpy about it.
He was sitting on the bench the whole time.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you this. Here's another question. There's a lot of NFL things we can talk about. DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
DeAndre Hopkins is a headache.
Well, and I get it, but he's a 3-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
And, I don't, for the weeks that he played in 2022, he didn't play all the weeks, but for the weeks that he did play, he was the 5th most heavily used wide receiver in the league. He had 34.8% of the Cardinals receiving yards in that time.
Suck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true.
Or they're throwing it to Rondale Moore.
I don't know.
Or Kirk. Because they trade Kirk to the Jaguars.
The Cardinals are a dilemma. I don't understand the Cardinals. I don't understand. Kyler Murray could do this by himself, I feel, and that he's an idiot, I think. I think he's a great, talented quarterback, but I feel like he's not this is going to sound terrible. He's not smart enough to do the right things to get them to win. Does that make sense? I don't want to say it that way. I don't want to, but I feel like if he played to his potential and did what he needed to do and not what he wanted to do on the field, they would be better. He's mega talented. There's no doubt. I mean, and you watched, was that last year when he scrambled around? Was it Vegas? Scrambled around for like 2 minutes and scored a touchdown.
Keeping it alive.
Yeah, I'm like,
ran up the field.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
No one's negating the guy's talent. He's
Hopkins. So DeAndre Hopkins, he's going to be 31 on June the 6th. He's a 6-time 1,100 yard plus receiver, 71 career touchdowns. Someone's going to pick him up. The question is,
somebody will take a chance. Yeah.
The question is, where does he go? Who's willing to take him? The Chiefs?
The problem is financially, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
He wants to get paid. So the last 2 seasons he's played in 10 games and 9 games. So
Yep.
you got to start considering injury
Yep.
over the last 2 years being pretty consistent. So there's that. But then beyond that, you're talking about he wants to get paid. The guy has a high demand for salary. So if he's willing to, if he wants the title, he can get one immediately at Kansas City for $2 million a year.
So there are other places he could play and get more money, but they might not necessarily be in position to win anything.
Houston's got plenty of cap space. Bring him on back.
Sure. Well, I mean, and there are even better teams than that. I mean, what I'm saying is Dallas has $9 million of cap space. Dallas.
You're not going to give all $9 million to this guy before you get through training camp. You have to consider injuries that might occur, other players you might have to sign, and things like that. Free agents.
Saints.
There's The Saints would not be a terrible spot, but
Derek
that's
Carr.
not a guaranteed walk into a title.
No, it's not. But with if you had Derek Carr at quarterback, Chris Olave and DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas coming back from injury whenever he comes back from
Maybe,
injury.
maybe not. Yeah.
I mean, if he does. There's other teams with a lot of with cap space and the ability. I mean, but they're the Browns, the Giants, Falcons. Those teams are not going to compete for a title. They're just teams. And if you're just out to get the money, then you're going to go to whoever pays you the most money. But if you want to win a title, you're going to need to go to one of these teams that doesn't necessarily have all that much cap space. The Jets being an example.
The one I read was the Browns.
The Browns
that has a quarterback, that has a couple other pieces. That
Amari Cooper too.
They can probably make some use out of him, and they've got some cap space,
and
despite how much Deshaun Watson costs.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they have any room, but yeah, whatever.
Not much, but a little bit.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to walk into a contender without taking a massive pay cut. So he's not going to. I'm not going to say the Rams because the Rams aren't really a contender, but he's not going to Kansas City. He's not going to the Bengals. He's not going to one of those teams, Philly, without taking a pay cut because they cannot afford him.
Okay.
At his current rate. So if he wants to go to a contender, he's got to drop salary, probably below $5 million a year, which will make him in the bottom 20th percentile of wide receivers in the league. Or he can get paid and go somewhere where it might be a contender. Or he can definitely get paid and go somewhere where it's not a contender at all.
I am Ron Burgundy.
A team that I think would be a pretty good fit for him would be Jacksonville.
Yeah, maybe.
Trevor Lawrence. There's some young guys out there. They've got a little bit of cap space going around right now because they are so young.
Yeah.
That would be a good little fit for him. And that division is kind of weak.
All right, let me ask you this: Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, right? Which one has the better statistical season next year?
C.J. Stroud, because he's going to start.
You don't think Bryce Young's going to start in Carolina?
I don't think Bryce Young's going to start in Carolina.
Oh, I think they have to. I think they have to start him after the debacle that they've had at quarterback. I think they have to start him. He's the number one pick. You got to start him.
I mean, number one picks haven't started before.
I know, but they when they come into a position where the quarterbacks ahead of them are awful, they do.
I mean, I guess they just have Andy Dalton. Is there other?
Yeah, he's a perennial backup. That's all Andy Dalton is.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know. I'd feel
maybe
like
he starts.
I'm not
on that principle,
and I'm not arguing for him. I'm just saying I think he's going to start. I think he's going to be a starter, and I think you're going to see Young and Stroud play the whole season. And the question is, who stays on their feet? Right? Which one of those guys stays on their feet longer? Because you're going to go to a team that isn't necessarily the best. I think Houston might be the better team, better than Carolina.
I agree. I don't believe in Bryce Young that much. But I just don't think he has it for the league. I don't really believe in C.J. Stroud that much, but I believe in him more than I believe in Bryce Young.
Okay. So here's the follow-up question.
Yeah.
Which of these two quarterbacks has the best statistical season, knowing they're going to be backups? Will Levis or Stetson Bennett?
Ooh, Will Levis. I don't think Stetson Bennett sees the field.
Really? Not after what's-his-name couldn't play most of the year last year? Stafford had an issue, right? And so he's going to, I don't
hear you. But apparently Brett Rippen's killing it for the Rams.
Yeah. And then Will Levis playing in Tennessee, if Tannehill is going to be all...
That's such an interesting thing because they drafted Malik Willis. Right. And then he drafted Will Levis the next year.
Right.
They now have this new rule in place for third quarterbacks on a roster, that just got approved a couple weeks ago.
Right.
After the 49ers debacle.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that's I don't think Stetson Bennett sees the field.
So let me ask you this. More rookie questions. Zach, is it Charbonnet? Is that how they pronounce it? Or Charbonnet? It's not A because it's not. I think it's Charbonnet.
Oh, the running back for what's it called?
He's going to be in Seattle. And combined with Walker from last year,
could be good.
That could be a great 1-2 punch.
That could be great as long as Geno doesn't regress. All Seattle has going on is hanging on whether we get 2022 Geno or any year before Geno.
It's true.
Like if we get one, we're fine. They're a playoff contender. I even think they're a deeper playoff contender. If they get the other one, they'll be lucky to break even on the season.
True or false? Bijan Robinson is going to be the best running back that was taken in the draft.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, from like the problem is you're talking about true running backs, right? Like I don't think Zach Charbonneau is going to get used as a true. He's going to get used in third down and longs. He's going to get catch a lot of passes and things like that, and he's going to spell the other guy. Whereas I think Bijan's going to be given a chance to actually carry.
Right.
You know, he's going to be given a pretty good steady hand there. Although, did the Falcons re-sign Cordero Patterson?
Yeah, and that's the other question: is he going to play running back all year? Because
I mean, I do think so. I don't think he has a lot of value outside of being a true running back.
I suppose. And I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you. I didn't look to see if they did. I assume
he still says 2021 to present, so
I still assume he's there. Yeah.
Yeah, which is good for them because he got hurt last year, and had to sit a little bit of time. But he was incredible for him. But he's their starting running back / slot wide receiver. Okay. So I think on plays when he gets flexed out, like you can put them both in the backfield behind you, then flex out Cordero, who played wide receiver all through college and early parts of his career, and then you have just weapons galore on the field.
All right.
But I think Bijan, of the running backs taken, will be the most successful as a running back. That's how I'm going to qualify that.
Gotcha.
I think Charbonnet's got the best chances of having the most impact.
Okay, I can buy that. So I'm gonna share the screen because you're gonna want to see this. So here's something I ran across that's kind of fun. The official 2023 schedule. This is week highlights, week 1 through 18. And I just want to say this is not. This is just having fun. So if you look at week 1, right? This is what they were predicting at one point. The Jets take down the team from New York on 9/11 in Aaron Rodgers' debut. And I'm like, is it too soon to say that? Can we? But I started laughing at some of the things that are on here. Antonio Brown arrested for trespassing in the Ravens facility, right? Tua becomes the first active player to be diagnosed with CTE. That might not be wrong, right?
I mean, from what we know about CTE, it stands to reason that people have it. Like even average people,
right,
can have some varying degree of CTE. So yeah, he probably has some.
You know, Dak chokes versus the 49ers. Yeah, I mean,
what's new?
Russell Wilson throws four INTs in primetime. Any of that's possible. I like the week 9 one. Week 9 was my favorite. Michael Thomas returns from IR.
Yeah.
No, week 11. Michael Thomas placed back on IR.
Cardinals fired Jonathan Gannon.
Right. I mean, all of this stuff, quite funny. I honestly, right? Jalen Carter arrested for drag racing during the Eagles bye week.
Somebody with a lot of time.
Somebody with a lot of time went deep into this and said, "This is what's going to happen." And
so Baker Mayfield throws 3 INTs and gets Mike Evans traded.
Baker Mayfield, you know, he's the next Tom Brady.
Apparently people are raving about him.
I don't
know. Not like team, but like reporters are saying that he's looking really good. So We'll see.
I got to tell you this. I looked at the Super Bowl logo here, Super Bowl 58.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's cool looking.
I like the color. I like the old Las Vegas, welcome to Las Vegas sign in the background there.
Yeah.
All of that looks good.
It's a slick looking logo. I'm actually really on board with it.
Yeah, some of them don't look that good. Last year's I wasn't a big fan of. This one.
The question is, can Jimmy G take the 49ers to
it? Is he going to have to?
Or sorry, not the 49ers, the Raiders. Oh my gosh.
No.
Because that's the team. That's the team that's quarterbacking now.
No.
Yeah,
no,
I agree.
That's not going to happen. They're not going to play at home. I don't know. I feel like it's funny because I'm sitting here reading some things here. I'm reading they're talking about the 2024 NFL draft order. Who's going to be number 1? and right now they're talking about Arizona being the worst team in football next year. And I'm like, really? What a fall. I mean
they overpaid for a quarterback that you know any average fan who can set aside their bias would be able to tell you is an awful idea. Like I don't care about Arizona. I don't care about that division. Like I have no dog in that fight, and I could have told you that that was an absolutely awful idea to pay him that much
Right.
with the inconsistency he's had.
Well, sure.
But that's the league nowadays. You have to make a move.
It's funny to watch to look at this, what they're predicting, because they got the Cardinals on here, Tampa Bay at number 3, solely because of quarterback.
Yeah, that's just, this is an unoriginal thing saying that these people are going to have quarterback issues, so they're going to be high.
Well, and you think, I mean, the Rams at number 5.
That's a bold one because you don't know what you're going to get from Sean McVay. I mean, could we have predicted last year?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
so I don't know if you can reasonably predict next year.
And Matthew Stafford's 35. He's not young.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I didn't realize he was that old. I guess he's been playing in Detroit for a long time. I just didn't realize he was that old.
The Cardinals are gonna tank.
The Titans.
Caleb Williams.
The Titans are on here at number 6 on this. I mean, it's just a prediction. I get it, and a lot of this is going to change. But I feel like that. I mean, that's definitely a thing. I mean, it definitely could happen. The Titans are, Derrick Henry would have to have Derrick Henry from 2 or 3 years ago. Ryan Tannehill is okay. I don't think he's going to lead you to the Super Bowl without Derrick Henry, right? I mean, that's clearly not going to be a thing. They need something. They're going to, at some point, they're going to have to scrap that whole offensive scheme and go something different because Derrick Henry's going to be done.
Right.
And I don't know. It's weird. I feel like the Packers are another team that's going to struggle this year, right?
I don't know. Like there are a couple teams out there that I can't make predictions on. The Rams are one of them.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know. The Packers are one of them. You assume they're going to take a step back, but I assumed that years when they had Rodgers and they didn't.
That's true.
You just don't know. You assume that the Jets are going to take a step forward. I don't know that to be true. I think they get better. So I don't think that's that. Like I can't make a prediction on the Falcons because the Falcons were, a collective 15 points off of leading their division for the majority of last year.
Right.
So it's like you just don't know what you're going to get out of a couple of these teams. But yeah. I do think that there are some more obvious ones. I think like the Bears, I think are going to continue to be bad because they didn't change much or add much. I think the Cardinals will be bad, but I don't know if they're going to tank.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Well, that's all I have. Do you want to do the trivia question or do you want to do your minute before we go? Which would you like to do?
Let's do the minute first.
Okay. So, yeah, go ahead.
So my minute I'm talking about today, Parker's minute, or what is it called?
Your mother thinks I talk too much.
You talk too much.
Yeah.
That's right. I decided I am going to talk about the moths.
Okay.
I was thinking about this, so I wrote down what I was going to talk about, and then as soon as the moth thing came up, I wrote that underneath it, and then I was like, and this whole time I've been looking, I'm like, yeah, talk about. So something they don't tell you about when you move to Denver is that there is a seasonal migration of moths. These things are called Miller moths. They're about an inch long, sometimes a little longer, sometimes a little shorter. They're pretty fat, chunky moths, and they migrate from Nebraska and eastern Colorado up to the mountains during the summer when it's cool, and then they go back over the top and going into the fall. So they don't come back through; they just go back over the top. What they don't tell you about this migration is that they populate every part of your area. So my garage, when I open up my garage door, there's probably about 100, 150 moths in there.
Oh.
Just sticking on the walls.
Really?
Hanging on the roof. And when I open the garage door, they all freak out and start flying around, and half of them fly out, and then by the next night, they're all back. When I'm walking around the stadium that I work at, I have to open up like some doors sometimes, and like I'll open up like an electrical room door, and like the protocol right now is you open the door, you step back behind the door, and you jiggle your keys because they don't like the sound, and they just come pouring out.
Wow.
Just hundreds upon hundreds of them just dumping out. And what's even more fun now is it's starting to get nice. So the birds are coming out. So as they start dumping out, birds are like nose diving in to get them.
Really?
It's like watching this little battle all the time. It's super weird. But what I'm hearing, the story I'm hearing now is that eventually the birds will get frustrated that no moths are coming out and will start to get like aggressive with humans. So
aggressive.
It's like they're like swallows that live out here on like the plains and things like that. And yeah.
Right.
But yeah, these moths are insane. They fly like idiots. They fly like people around here drive, which was the other thing I was talking about. But
Nice.
and they'll smack you right in the face, and they just keep flying off somewhere else. They're just so dumb. But I
So
guess they're good for the environment.
yeah, so I'm sitting here reading a little bit about Miller
Miller
moths.
moth.
Yeah, just in general. So cedarwood, lavender, peppermint, clove, eucalyptus are things that are help to repel moths.
Yeah,
Those
those are the same
fragrances.
things you use for spiders.
Yeah, and it also says that if you want to get rid of them, I mean, not that you can get rid of them, but to help, they said if you can suspend a lit light bulb, over a bucket of partially filled soapy water, the moths will get attracted to the light and they'll fall into the water and they'll die.
Oh.
How you do that, I don't know. You have to figure that
Why
out.
would I just use like soapy water in a spray bottle?
You could, and if you could spray it on them, yeah, that might work. That absolutely might work. And also add in the soapy water. Make sure it has a lavender scent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't really say that you can never get rid of them. They're gonna be there.
Yeah. Every single year is what I'm hearing. It's a recurring thing. It is what it is.
They're not poisonous. They don't carry diseases.
They're harmless. Yeah,
they're harmless.
Absolutely harmless. They're
Yeah.
just ugly
And they give you the creepies, the heebie-jeebies when they fly. Yeah.
And they're big.
Oh yeah.
Those big little antennas, and they're freaking out, and they smack things. And so, like, I'll be sitting in the office, and I'll hear them going, dunk, dunk, dunk,
oh my gosh,
dunk on the windows because they're trying to get inside, and it's crazy.
Wow.
But we've done a really good job of keeping our house free of them.
Really?
But our garage, which isn't sealed off, it's another story.
So apparently, Miller moths migrate. I mean, they Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Wyoming to Colorado.
Yeah, to the mountains.
To the mountains. Yeah, that's where they go. And that's what you're doing is you're getting the migration right now. So yeah,
which is we're at the very end of it though. So and I have seen they're starting to few up, but apparently we got like another week and a half of it.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know what to tell you.
They say by mid-June they're pretty much all gone except for the ones that are probably going to die and not take off. So
interesting.
But the cleaning ladies were walking through our office building, and we have a west-facing set of windows next to the suites on the third floor of the stadium, and there's just tons of moths all over them. And I'll just be sitting in the suite eating lunch, and I'll hear them like walking through, going dum 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 dum, just vacuuming them up along the window.
And so apparently they're pollinators.
Absolutely.
And that's what they're good for.
Good for the environment.
Yeah, they pollinate at night. Anyway, so just don't turn on any lights. You don't have to worry about them. Or open doors.
You know, I haven't noticed like them seeming to be super attracted to lights.
Right.
Like at least that I can. Maybe none of my lights are bright enough, but like they don't seem like they care. Like
maybe.
My TV will be on. It'll be the only thing in a room. There'll be a moth in the room, and it won't go towards it.
Well, maybe the option is you need a really bright light out on the corner of your property.
Well, one of the things we're doing is we're building a bat house.
Bats will eat moths probably.
And then moths will go, crap, we need to stay away from that place.
Yeah, that's true.
Because then the bats will come out at night and just nom 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 nom.
Nom nom nom. Right.
Bird feeder on one side for the day, bat house for the other side for night.
Like it.
No more moths.
I like
little eucalyptus spray to make the whole house smell good.
Yeah.
And then we're talking.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's my minute is on educating people on the Miller moth.
Okay. I like it.
Nature minute.
I'm on board. All right.
Trivia question.
Read it again.
All right. So only one city has had all four major sports, NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB, playing on the same sports weekend, which I defined as Thursday through Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it's Thursday through Sunday. Yeah, only one city has done it. And then the hint I gave you was that it was in 2007. And they're all home games.
They're all home games. I am going to go out on a limb. This is my shot in the dark. You ready?
Yep.
I'm going to go with Philadelphia.
That is incorrect.
Oh, shit.
That is incorrect. You want to take another guess?
Well.
For 07?
And see, because of when it happens, it's irrelevant what the football team's record is because it's early in the season.
Right.
The baseball team is what's important.
The baseball team
is what's important here.
It's what I had to start with.
Oh, okay. So then the only thing I could think about, the only other team that I could think about 2007 might be Boston.
That is the answer.
That is the answer. Okay.
It was the Bruins versus the Blackhawks.
Okay.
Which was a win. The Sox versus the Rockies in Game 4 or Game 2 of the series.
Oh yeah.
Game 2 of the series, which was a win. The Celtics versus the Cavs. This was preseason, but I'm gonna count it. I'm gonna allow it.
They're playing.
That was a win, and then the Patriots versus the Redskins, which was a win. All 4 teams won in the same weekend.
Wow. There you go.
All
That's
4
amazing.
teams at home, and the Bruins, Blackhawks, and Sox Rockies were both on the 25th, and then the 26th was the Celtics Cavs, and the 28th was Patriots Redskins.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it took me so long to find this information.
And what set you off on this quest? Why did you go down that rabbit hole?
We were talking about the Nuggets and the Broncos playing on the same game day.
Oh, gotcha.
Like saying whether they both have a game on Sunday, and like how crazy, because the stadiums are not that far apart.
Right.
They don't share a parking lot, but that stadium holds like however many thousand people, 80,000, 90,000 people, and that stadium holds 20,000 people, and they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
So there's 100,000 people over the course of a mile.
Gotcha.
Like that's a crazy per capita. And so that guy was talking about, like, do they ever do that? And me and some of the guys at work, and then from there I went down this path of, well, you know what who's ever had all of them playing?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, and then they all won, which was just a bonus.
Yeah, that's weird. So next week, I want to have a discussion. Here's the question that we're going to pose right now: is Shohei Ohtani, knowing that he only plays one sport, but is he the best athlete that we've seen? Like,
ever?
Maybe. Just
No.
I'm not saying, but look at what he pitches and he hits. He does both, which is weird because they're two different motions. It's two different things.
He's the best baseball athlete ever.
But we don't know that he can't play hockey. I mean, I'm just saying.
I know that he can't run a sub 4-minute mile like Ashton Eaton.
Well, I get it, but I mean, there's a difference. So I guess that would be the comparison. Is a guy who runs the decathlon, who does the decathlon events, is he a better athlete? Can he hit a baseball?
Yeah. I don't know, but he can. I know I've seen videos of Ashton Eaton dunking.
Yeah, but I mean, well, that's just ups. I mean,
what I'm saying is athleticism is defined by a lot of things.
Sure.
But one of those, hitting a baseball, is a little bit about power, and it's a lot about timing.
Right.
Which is more in your head
than
it is in your body.
Right.
That's still part of being an athlete, so
I don't
take it away from him.
Yeah.
But when I hear the word athlete, greatest athlete, I think about somebody who is physically gifted in ways that we haven't seen.
And I would
because if what's his name, Stephen Hawking could swing a bat, he probably could have hit a baseball too. Maybe not home runs, but he could have hit line drives. He figured out that timing.
Maybe he's a scientist. It's all physics, right?
Yeah, he built a robot to do it for him or something.
Right, I don't know. But I mean, it's one of those things I want to examine. Like,
I like that.
Bo Jackson. We're gonna throw these names out here. Bo Jackson. I want to throw out
an interesting one.
Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders is another interesting one. Fantastic track athlete and football player and baseball player. Russell Wilson. Baseball and football,
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, baseball and football.
You had guys like that. John Elway was one of those guys.
John Elway was one of those guys. He could do whatever, except he couldn't run very fast.
No, he kind of ran, pardon the expression, he kind of ran like he had a stick up his butt.
He was running. Well, did you know that he was missing? All right. He was missing a ACL in his left knee.
No, that explains a lot.
Yeah, so he could not run, and he lost it in high school.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I get amazed by Shohei Ohtani and the fact that he could throw a no hitter, and in the same game he could hit 3 home runs.
He's doing incredible things for baseball, absolutely.
And
it's remarkable.
And I just don't. I mean, I don't know how good an athlete he is because he doesn't play another sport. That's my question. I
want to know what his time to first base is.
Right. And I get it. It's just one of those things where you see these guys. Some of these guys that play. I think the NBA athletes are super gifted. They have a lot of athletic ability to jump and stretch and do the. There's lots of motion there. But if you don't see them play another sport, you don't necessarily know how good they are. Could he throw a football? Could he catch a football? Can he outrun? I don't know. I don't know what they could do. Could they hit a baseball?
So let's go with this. Let's do this be our second half talking point for next week.
Okay.
And I'll bring a list of my 10 greatest athletes.
Greatest athletes in the history of it. Doesn't matter what they play. Just
doesn't
an athlete.
matter what they play.
Okay.
Who are the greatest athletes? And again, I don't take that to mean like.
Okay. All right.
I don't think Tom Brady should be on this list. He's smart and he can throw a football. He's strong enough to do that.
Yeah, he
but
can't run.
He's not really an athlete. So when you're making this list, like Shohei Ohtani, I'm okay with him being on that list because he does two very different parts, but it's two parts of the same game that you learn at the same time.
Sure.
But I'd still be okay with it. So yeah, you bring your 10, I'll bring my 10,
okay.
and obviously we'll find commonalities and we'll cross those off, and then we'll argue our cases for the other ones.
Let's pare it down to 5. 5, because 10 will take us forever.
Yeah, that's fair.
if we talk 2 minutes about each of the 20 people we're talking about, it's 40 minutes for the talk. Let's pare it down to 5.
5.
Yeah, we'll do 5. Top 5 athletes, and yeah, it doesn't matter what sport they're from, just athletes. Okay, I like it. Anyway, there you go. There's next week's talking points. We'll talk a little bit about the NBA Finals because it'll still be going on. We'll talk a little bit more about the NHL Finals because it'll still be going on. Yeah, and then we'll talk a little bit more about any other NFL news that comes up, anything exciting, Major League Baseball. Maybe we'll touch on that. The WNBA is out there playing right now. We didn't talk about MLS today. We will talk about the Spanish Grand Prix in Formula One, and then whatever else comes up. So anyway. Awesome. It is good to be back. It feels good.
It really does.
Yeah,
I've gone for too long, moving and all that stuff. Yeah. But I'm glad I have a place, and we had no technical difficulties today.
Yeah, you just jinxed it.
I knocked on wood. I couldn't jinx it.
This is the first show ever. I think we didn't.
No, hold on. So, oh my gosh, Parker's Minute next week. Turn into one about jinxes. It's not a jinx. If you call out a specific thing. So if we said we've had no technical difficulties, that is clearly a jinx. Because you're saying not now, not later, not in the past, like it's not happening. Worse is I said we have had no technical difficulties today.
It's true. But I mean,
I pared it down to a specific enough moment to where it can't be a jinx.
But you can't. Yeah, but I'm just feel like if you say it during the middle of it and then it
that's true.
Because all those kicker jinxes, the announcers have always said, he's 27 of 27 on extra points this year. He to that point is perfect. He's absolutely not a jinx, and then he kicks it weird, and you're like, what?
But the problem. So that's never the jinx though. When they say their stats,
yeah,
that's never the problem. It's when they say. This is automatic. This should be
that's
easy.
True.
This is a chip shot for him.
Well, it is.
That's the jinx. When you say he's 99 of 99, that's a fact. That's not disputable, and nothing really waives that. But saying this is a chip shot is predicting the future.
This is 2 weeks out. That's the next.
This is what jinxes are: is predicting upcoming.
We've got to go 2 weeks out now because that's the next thing we got to talk about.
Tune in 2 weeks for Parker's Minute on jinxes.
Next, well, I'm not the. This is gonna be the second half of a show. We're gonna talk about jinxes. We're talking about superstition in general. I think in
love
sports,
that.
superstition in sports.
Whole back half superstition.
Yeah, do you need to eat a whole fried chicken, Wade Boggs, before the game?
You gotta.
That's a lot of chicken.
We need did he need a dead chicken to bless the bat?
Yeah, he wanted a live chicken.
He wanted a live chicken.
Yeah, the best they could do was the fried chicken.
Cassie, someone was getting married the other day. I said, well, candlesticks make a pretty good game. She didn't get it at all.
That is one of my all-time favorite movies, just in general, and that's another thing we need to talk about at some point in time. Favorite movie. Yeah, sports. Maybe just sports movie quotes. Show me the money is right up there. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Bull Durham is one of my favorite ones, and I just used it the other day because the dogs were going outside. Right, they wanted outside, and Sky doesn't move real fast anymore because he's got some back issues. So he was struggling to walk across the floor, but he's walking slowly out the door. I'm going, come on, you lollygaggers, and I started. I started thinking about the movie. I was like,
do the whole thing. Yep.
So anyway, we'll talk about that. Hey, that's 3 weeks out.
3 weeks out. So we've got shows for the next back half of every show for the next 3 weeks.
We've got this covered. So definitely want to tune in to hear all of that crap because it's gonna be good. What do we say next? What do we say next week, Wes? What are we talking about next week?
Next week we are talking about athletes.
Athletes.
After we're talking
about
top
jinxes, and then we'll talk about sports movie quotes. Is what we're gonna talk about.
That's right.
The best ones we can find. All right, I like it. All right, well, I want to, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We want to thank our sponsors, the Range, Boss Kitty, Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. I had a whole thing. Usually I have all this stuff written out and typed out. I didn't have anything written out tonight. So, we want to thank, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, Formula One, and, anybody else I can think of. But we didn't really use any footage or pictures from most of them, so... Yeah, next week we'll be back. We're going to talk about all that stuff and more. And don't forget, we're going to talk about the best athlete. We're going to debate the best athletes in the history of sports. So yeah. So I don't even remember how to sign off. That's how bad this is when I don't have it written down, and it's been that long.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta work on that.
I know. I still got to have some. There's somewhere.
What am I doing?
Somewhere there's music, right? I forgot even my cues. My cues are on the paper. Like now, start the music. Anyway, yeah, we want to thank you all for joining us, and we'll be back next week to talk about all that and more. So again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.